Let's talk about fear. In the last 28 years of me snowboarding, I've literally had so many injuries, including this wrist broken 3 times, this arm broken twice, fingers. I've literally had 2 hip surgeries and a broken back where I broke 3 bones in my back when I was 17 years from a half pipe snowboard injury. So I can tell you with absolute certainty, I've dealt with an insane amount of injuries, which means I also have a lot of baggage when it comes to the mental side of fear. After breaking my back when I was 17, if I would have just literally landed like a half inch to my left, I would have been paralyzed and you and I would not be talking right now. And that absolutely destroyed my life. I was so scared of going this fast. I was scared of moving my board like this. I was so scared to catch a half inch of air, let alone even like hitting a jump or a rail. But beforehand, I was a sponsored athlete with brands hooking me up. I was traveling the world competing in snowboarding in various half pipe and slopestyle events. I was hitting 80-foot jumps at 9 o'clock in the morning with absolutely zero hesitation, completely confident. But after breaking my back and all this other stuff, like it's absolutely like made snowboarding so hard for a long time. It took me about 3.5 years for me to overcome the fear of snowboarding. So in this video, I wanted to highlight a couple things when it comes to fear. Whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced rider, we all deal with fear. So I want to talk about a couple tactics that I use to help me overcome literally breaking my back, almost being paralyzed. Also, what do you think about this content that's a little bit more casual, just hanging out, vibing, talking to you, me hanging out with my Insta360 camera, mic'd up, just vibing. This is probably the most I've snowboarded alone in literally the last 20 years. And it's been fun because I've just been like kind of hanging out, vibing, talking to you. So definitely love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And today's video is actually sponsored by Insta360 and making this whole thing possible. So let's jump into a quick little segue. And today's video is actually sponsored by Insta360 X4. This entire video was literally filmed, minus the filming of this film, has been literally filmed on this camera, and 3 reasons why I absolutely love this camera. Reason number 1 is the quality. When I'm creating content for you, I want the quality to be awesome so that you can see all the little details in the body and the movements or whatever video I'm doing, I want you to be able to see. So this thing is actually using an 8K sensor, so it looks incredible and crisp. Number 2 is a lot of times when you're trying to film in the middle of winter, it can be an absolute struggle because most batteries can't handle this weather, let alone have the camera turn on. But that is not the case with this camera because from the V3 to the V4, they've absolutely increased the size of the battery, allowing it to have bigger battery capacity. And somehow the science mechanism in this camera, they're able to allow me to film when it's 0 degrees out. So that's super awesome. And number 3 is this camera allows me to film a whole entire video alone, so I don't need a filmer. I can just go ride, go vibe, feel inspired, and create some incredible content. So if you want a camera that is literally one of the most amazing cameras ever, check out the link in the description because I'm gonna hook you up with a free selfie stick just by using this camera. So on that note, check out this camera, link down below, and let's get back to the video. Let's go. I do want to just give you like a little bit of insight into like my thoughts on fear. Whether you're the gnarliest snowboarder or just starting out, you have like a level of fear. Now, when you're a new snowboarder, you're scared to do things like this because you might catch an edge. You might be scared to go fast. We'll address some of those things here in a little bit. But let's say you've been snowboarding for 20 years. You have double backflips and you're like this gnarly snowboarder. Well, I guarantee those people have fear too. But the 2 things that are different is 1, they know how to manage fear, and 2, their level or that threshold of fear, instead of being way down here, is like super up here. So if they're trying to go for a new trick, let's say they, instead of doing a double backflip, they may be scared to do the triple backflip. So I just wanted to like kind of address this because like wherever you are in your ability, it's okay to be scared. Everyone is fearful. Everyone's freaked out at a certain level. Now, I truly believe that the more you have like exposure therapy to those things, like let's say you drive the car for the first time, you're driving down the highway, you're absolutely freaked out. Now, you've probably been driving your car so long that you could probably text, whether you should or shouldn't, you could probably theoretically multitask without being scared, right? Like you've just absolutely done it long enough that it's not a big deal. So if you're a beginner snowboarder, I want to give you hope. If you stick with snowboarding long enough, you'll absolutely get comfortable. Now, for some people, Like myself, I was pretty fearless in the beginning. Now I'm a lot more calculated. Other people might be just absolutely fearful, and it might take a little bit longer to overcome that. And following this video, there will be some tactics here in a moment. But by sticking with snowboarding and pushing your boundaries and just tastefully and tactfully working on becoming a better snowboarder, you'll get there. But by the more you can like practice, the better you can get, the less fear you're gonna have. So now let's go into some like hard tactics that I use with competitive athletes, average Joes, weekend warriors, or tactics that I even work with myself. Number one is you got to truly understand body positions. For example, a bad body position can absolutely cause you to crash more often. And when you crash more often, now you're associating snowboarding with crashing, falling, and getting hurt. And no wonder you're scared. So I literally do this for you. I appreciate you watching, but I literally am going to show you the bad tactic and catch edges and fall because I want you to truly understand this. So, for example, a bad snowboard position, that is probably about 90% of the population, does this in one of these two things. Number one is most people are trying to get their belly button as close to the ground as possible, but they do this. So now when I'm in this position, two things happen. I can't really anticipate what's going on, but look how low my heel side edge is. So as I'm in this position, it's really easy. Oh my God, I almost did it. It's really easy to do this. I'm like here, and I'm worried, and then I go like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. Okay, bear with me. We're gonna do this. I'm not gonna cut this. Okay, so we're here, we're scared, and then we're gonna go like, ugh, because we're gonna crash. Imagine we were going like way faster, right? So like that body position is gonna make me catch an edge. Now, every time I'm in this position, I think I'm gonna die. My mind, my body is absolutely terrified. So that's number one, is if like a beginner snowboarder intermediate, you see this all the time. People are constantly snowboarding like this, really, really tough. The second body position that's really common is, take a step back, an asterisk. And generally speaking, when it comes to body positions, wherever my lead shoulder is, my board and lower body wants to follow. So, for example, if I'm pointing my lead shoulder down the hill, notice that my board just wanted to follow. Pretty simple. Now, to the point of bad body position, most snowboarders tend to do this. They're taking their lead shoulder and they're rotating here. What does my board want to do? My board wants to follow. But the problem is we're constantly in this position where our board and our body are fighting each other. And now let's say that I'm riding down the mountain, I'm flat base, I'm going 100 miles an hour, and I'm literally flying, and my shoulder is doing this. I'm going to put my camera over here. Okay, we're good there. Hold on. Okay, ready? Okay, we're going. And now watch. My board wants to do this. My board, watch the back tail of my snowboard. Because my shoulder's open, my board wants to catch. And to a point, my board is actually going to get sideways enough where I'm like going to fall down because bad body position. My lead shoulder wants to go here. My board wants to catch an edge. My board wants me to fall because my body position is causing the problem. Therefore, if I were to fix the body position, all of a sudden, I would be able to have more success. Now, imagine this. My lead shoulder points to the direction I want to go, and I can do all sorts of really cool stuff, never catch an edge, and literally go ride 100 days without catching an edge. Do you think you'd be scared? Do you think if you went 100 miles an hour in a good body position without catching an edge, would you be scared? No, if you have a really good body position, you would absolutely not be fearful at all. You could literally be playing, you could literally be vibing like this if you have the right body position. Imagine having that much control. Would you be scared? No. So I truly think number one is you got to be in a body position that is more athletic. Your lead shoulder points you in the direction you're going, and you're allowing yourself to work with the board together. This builds confidence, and that will single-handedly eliminate most of your fear just by doing that one thing. Pretty incredible, right? Number two is we have to understand how to safely and tactfully have progression. My goal is to have you go from one step to the next step to the next step in a linear fashion that almost guarantees progression and success from one step to another. Another good example would be a backflip. If I just said, hey, you're gonna go do a backflip today. And you're like, great, I'm into it. What are the steps? Here's a jump, look back. Would you feel confident? Would you feel scared? Not confident, absolutely scared. So now let's say we do it the opposite way. We go to a facility that has indoor trampolines, that has little hip things, so I can have you bounce and you're literally strapped in and you go do a backflip with no concern. Okay, that'd be nice. That'd be step number one, right? And then what about step number two, where it's like, okay, cool, we're gonna do that again, but we're gonna go on a trampoline and I'm gonna hold you so that when you flip, I'm there to save your life. Okay, cool, right? What if number three, I was able to say, we're gonna do a backflip into a foam pit. Number four, we're gonna do a backflip on a roller. And then number five, we're gonna do a backflip on a pow jump. And then six, we finally went to a backflip on snow. Would you feel more confident having those steps? Well, what I'm doing is teaching you how to be confident, teaching you all the little fine skills of how to take off and all the stuff along the way. So by the time you got there, you were able to be successful only because you had the skills developed to get there. Most people don't do that. Most people go, they try to do a backflip, land on their neck, they're pissed, and they'll never snowboard again. Or they go really, really fast down the hill, they catch an edge, and never snowboard again. Or they're so worried about everything that they never go snowboard again. And number three, as we go into another Black Diamond run, number three, I wanted to talk about, okay, once we have the fear, how the heck do we overcome it? We've kind of talked about how to prevent it and various little things. But I would say I'm a pretty good person to like kind of have a little bit of an insight into this, because I did break my back when I was 17. But then when I was 28 years old, I landed a backside 1260. The craziest, biggest trick I did in my entire life, well after overcoming the fear of breaking my back. Now, I will admit it took me about 3 years to overcome the fear. We talked about it earlier. Hitting moguls like this, I'd be in tears. Hitting jumps, I'd be freaked out. I was an absolute nutcase, lying to myself, saying like, oh, it's okay, just like, you got this. But like deep down inside, I'm freaking out. And how I overcame that was three big things. One, I met Krista, who was a snowboard instructor, and she taught me about the body positions. Boom. You understand body positions, you create confidence, you create success by landing because you're in a body position. That was like absolutely key. In addition, it was like having a support system, having somebody who's gonna see through the BS, see through the lies I'm telling myself, and having somebody to be like, yo, you're actually like, you're a good snowboarder, but you're like, there's so much under the layers of the onion that I needed somebody to kind of call my BS, right? Because if somebody didn't call my BS, I would just continue to lie to myself and call myself okay. And it was to a point I was lying to myself so much. I signed up for a slopestyle competition after breaking my back. I went to practice. I was so freaked out hitting the smallest little jump that I went to the announcer. Was like, oh, I got hurt, I'm out, or whatever. Like I pulled out of the event because I literally was lying to myself going into that event, saying I could do this. When it came down to it, I couldn't. I was scared. And it was just like lying to myself. So like having a support system. So number one, body position. Number two, having a support system. And number three is getting feedback. Imagine you're riding these moguls and you're completely doing it wrong. Well, you don't know you're doing it wrong until you do it right. But having somebody actually tell you that you're doing it right. So getting feedback, whether that's like hiring an instructor, riding with friends, coming to my summer camp, being able to get information and feedback to say, hey, you should probably just bend your knees a little bit more. Or did you know that when you ride, you have your weight in your back foot? Like you may not even know that. So being able to get feedback is also going to make a significant difference on trying to overcome fear so that you can correct those bad patterns. And the last thing I want to say this while I try to do something dumb, I'm going to try to gap these moguls and straight line out of here. Now, it's not that far, but we're probably going to knuckle and hopefully not crash. And then we're going to talk about the last closing. Okay, we're going. 3, 2, 1. Pointing. Okay, here we go. Okay. I kind of chose the safer route there. That was not that gnarly. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is just being comfortable pushing your boundaries. Now, when you do the same thing over and over and over, yes, you're going to get comfortable with it. But then it gets really easy just to be comfortable with it. Let's say I only snowboard this fast. I'm really comfortable snowboarding this fast. But imagine there's a catwalk here and I need to go faster. Well, I'm not comfortable with that. So pushing your boundaries in a calculated and systematic way is absolutely okay. But you're going to have to, at some point, to actually improve your snowboarding, you have to push your boundaries. And sometimes on the backflip example, at some point, you got to do the backflip on snow, right? Eventually, you got to do it on a park jump if you want to do it on a park jump. There's only so many like progressions or segmentation that you can do. I don't think I've ever been on this run, but there's only so much that you can actually do. So there's a point where you have to push your ability to get better, and sometimes you got to go for it. As long as it's calculated and you've done the steps and you have the skills for it, then it's very manageable. So hopefully you like this video. It's definitely a lot different style of like videos. I've been really enjoying just connecting with you, chatting with you, reading the comments down below, and just like having a little bit more of like a different approach to my content has actually been really fun for me to create, and it's been really cool. It's just been different. At the end of the day, it's like I'm just trying to like change my content. I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to make it more awesome. And if I'm constantly just doing the same thing, how am I going to be progressing the content? And I swear, if I make better content, it's going to make you better. And that's literally like the mission of my life, is to make you as awesome as snowboarding as possible. Okay, usually I go that way. I've actually never been down this run either. We're doing all sorts of new stuff. Oh, this looks fun. Okay, ready? Okay. Oh boy. Oh, okay, there was a moment I thought I was gonna die. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Oh, that's a big gap. Oh, sorry if that was oh, holy cow. Okay, can we just address the fact that I did not die because I had good body positions? Oh my gosh, let's freaking go. It's not even over yet. Kind of like rattled my freaking jawbone. Oh boy. Oh. But I did almost die, but not fully. Wow. So I don't really ride Keystone much, and it's kind of fun, like completely trying something new and different. Wow, that was probably the longest ending of my video ever. But if you're digging the content, let me know by liking the video. Share this with a friend. Insta360, link down below. Also, if you're looking for jackets, goggles, gloves, stuff like that, it's all going to be linked down below too. And just know I appreciate you more than you know. Have a great day. See you in the next one.